welcome visit speech with role models, Bill Women.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, guests and members. I remember in about year 11 or year 12, I was getting up for breakfast, fairly dreary-eyed, and my mother had the news on. And she was watching something, and it was about a young American sports athlete. And this young gentleman had been drafted very highly in his particular sport, and unfortunately he'd met the pitfalls of what they would call celebrity status. He'd gone out and got drunk, he got in a high-speed car, and unfortunately he had killed himself. Now, the one reporter that was reporting on this said, "This should be a message to all parents that sports people, men and women alike, are not good role models for your children, and it would be best to find something else." He wasn't saying completely cut out sport in their lives, but more or less try and cut down the posters of these superstars on their walls and bedrooms. And I thought to myself, well, isn't that great? He's focused on the negatives when there are so many other positives. And I thought to myself, the three main positives that sports, men and women, in my circumstance I'll talk about the men purely because I watch more male sports than females. That's no disrespect to the women at all. I just find male sports more enjoyable because we have the tendency to beat each other up, so it's more enjoyable for me to watch. But one of the main things I found was it teaches you, or it has taught me at least, self-sacrifice, putting others before yourself, perseverance and hard work, that when everyone else says it's too hard and I'd rather not do it, these sports people inspire you to want to push yourself and want to push limits. And the third one was inspiration as well. And I also have one little leftover secret that I'll leave just to the end. But rather than talk to you about and give you great definitions of these words, I thought I'd use a few examples of some particular favourite sports people of mine. And the names may go in one ear and out the other, and that's fine because it does to my mother every time I tell her about this, and she says, yes, 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 go away, leave me alone. But the first one I wanted to talk to you about was self-sacrifice, and the one that springs to mind was a player called Emmitt Smith. Now, he was a running back in the National Football League, which is America's national football sport, and please feel free to let it go in one ear and out the other. But what happened was he was given a severe injury. He was tackled from behind, and if I can remember correctly, it was a left shoulder separation with a bruised sternum and spasms in the neck. Now, I don't know about any of you, but that's really, really painful to me and would make me want to go grab the morphine and just start injecting it to myself. Now, it happened to be at a very crucial time for his particular team. They were trying to make the playoffs, which is the final series, and he put it on himself not only just to go back out there and play, but to play well and get his team across the line. Now, the second instance I said was hard work and perseverance. There was another gentleman, another American footballer, by the name of Tom Brady. Now, he was drafted with the 199th pick overall. And that goes in about, roughly by my calculations, the 6th round. Now, to give you probably more, to make this story a little bit more better for you, the first round athletes get the big money in the draft. The second round athletes, not so much. Third round athletes, yeah, you might start out for $1 million. Fourth round, now you're looking at special teams. Fifth round, yeah. Sixth and seventh, it's because we've got the picks and heck, let's use it. Okay, we're not expecting you to do anything for us. We're probably going to cut you before the season even starts. This gentleman decided, no, I'm not going to be cut. I'm going to push myself and push myself. Now, he managed to work his way slowly up, and finally he got, with poor choice of words from by myself, but a break. His starting quarterback was injured and out for the rest of the season. He took it upon himself to not only start, but he took his team to a championship. That gentleman is now the most highest paid player in the league, and he is a three-time, what we would call the Americans' version of the Brownlow medal. He's a three-time champion at that. No, pardon me, two-time champion at that, and he's a three-time America's version of the Norm Smith medalist. So for 199th pick overall, I think his team did pretty well. Now, the last one I wanted to use just for the examples was inspiration. I was watching a game with a friend of mine. It was, the team names can be forgotten, it was New Orleans versus Indianapolis, and there was a gentleman playing as a receiver. His name was Jimmy Graham, and one of the commentators decided he would give us an insight into his life. This boy was put in a car by his mother and driven to one of these institutes where they send young troubled teen boys from gangs, they drink too much, just basically kids that are well off the rails. This boy had nothing wrong with him. His mother dropped him there, gave him a garbage bag with his clothes in it and left him there. This boy was constantly being beaten by other children, purely because he was not like these children. He then called his mother in tears and she basically hung up on him. He was put into a foster home and lived out of a caravan. And his first report card was complete Fs. The lady who took him in said this will not do, because she could see the possibilities with this boy. He was a very gifted athlete. He worked and worked and worked. Eventually he got straight A's, went to a first division college, was drafted, and unfortunately I didn't have any footage to bring up tonight, but he played an excellent game that my friend and I both watched. Now the last one is a twofold story, and to me proves that no matter how bad things are, especially for me, sports people have proven to me that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. There was a gentleman who I was watching a game between New York and Philadelphia, and in college he was a star, and he started to get headaches through one of the practice sessions. So the coach, naturally being a star, go off and get a doctor's certificate, look after yourself. That gentleman had brain cancer, and he even said, they did an interview beforehand, and he even said he was at the lowest point of his life. He felt like his world had come completely crashing down upon him. And rather than what most people would do, which was completely kind of shy away and crawl into a hole, he decided, no, I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. I'm sick and tired of feeling sorry for myself. He beat the cancer, and if that wasn't enough, he also wasn't drafted, which in American terms means you have no hope. Virtually you have no hope. This boy refused. He said, I've beaten cancer, what's not being drafted? He then was picked up by a team and worked so hard that eventually my friend and I, who always watch the Sunday night game, which is the Monday afternoon for us because delay of time, and we saw him on the field, and he played a pretty good game. His team lost, unfortunately, but it just proves to me, and a lot of you will probably be thinking, yeah, he's rambling on and big deal, whoop-de-doo, some guy got out of, some guy did this and some guy made this. What it proves to me is, yes, we focus on the negatives about sports people and sports heroes, but really, they are inspirational people, and they're as inspirational to me as a doctor or a lawyer is to another human being. And the best way I can sum it up is, it's a quote from one of my favourite movies. There's a young athlete being interviewed, and he said, not all of us can grow up to be president, but who would really want to grow up to be a vice president? Thank you.